Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. We are throwing it forward a decade. So we've moved from the 80s, we'll be coming back I'm sure. We've gone into the early 90s neon, if any of you guys remember that. There are some iconic, well-known 90s imagery that I really wanted to have a play with. And I'll be honest, this was just going to be one piece, but having made too much of my Jesmonite AC100, very rare for me, I know, we end up with 4 completely different pieces in the early 90s neon theme. We're going neon and black. So again, we're going with some iconic images, but also I really wanted to try some of the neon Jesmonite with a black background. I've said it in a previous video, it was something I really wanted to look at. Now this is all going to be Jesmonite AC100, but you could do this with any one of your ecos that you might have at home. Equally, I do want to also try neon Jesmonite with black resin background, so we've got that amazing contrast between the shiny and the matte. But first up is going to be this real early 90s image. Can anyone think right now what it is? Have you got it in your head already? Just by the first circle, what it's going to be. Patrons, if you are here, I know you guys have seen this already, so no spoiler alerts. Lots of individual circles. Now, this was a bit tricky. The one thing to mention about Jesmonite AC100, it was hot in my craft room this day. You can see the sun coming through the window. This was early morning and the heat in my craft room was quite substantial. And what that does for Jesmonite AC100 in my own experience is that it sets it faster, it makes it thicker and it sets it faster if the room is really hot. So that's just something to bear in mind. Let me know if you've experienced the same thing. If it is really cold, like in the dead of winter, Jesmonite AC100 can take a little bit longer to cure, but when it's super hot like it was on this day, I say super hot. It wasn't that hot outside, but the sun coming through my window made the room hot. Yeah, it was curing up pretty fast. But all I did was add a little bit more of the Jesmonite AC100 liquid to make it more runny and more usable so that it didn't just set in the cup. Here I am putting more circles on the tray, and I just went through all of the sizes, big through medium down to little as well. And that is the tray done for now. Okay, we just need to let this fully set for a solid 30 minutes before we pour the background. Next up, we're going for the neon stripe. Now, the yellow neon stripe for me really reminds me of this top that my sister had. It was just black with yellow neon stripes, very, very 90s. And a lot of socks maybe, but then that might go back slightly into the 80s. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you had any neon stripes. Now, I did want to mention, because you might be questioning it at this point, I did add a little bit of the Jesmonite AC100 liquid in, like I said, to just watery it up a bit. Now, if you're making something like this, it can affect the quality of the piece. It can make it more fragile. But because the whole of my pieces are not being made from this liquid, like watered down, and when I say watered down, I mean less than a gram of extra liquid, because all of my pieces aren't fully 100% being made out of this, the main structure of my pieces are going to be the proper 1 to 2.5. I wasn't too worried about it. You know what I mean? These are just the kind of the decor pieces of it. So after the neon yellow stripe, I just threw it all in. I literally chucked it all in at this point. I wasn't going for anything specific. I just thought, let me just add what I've got left to other molds and we'll just have some fun and chuck it all in. And you guys know, if you've been with me a while, I just love to do that. There's nothing more freeing than allowing yourself to just create with absolutely no end game. There's nothing here. I'm not sitting here thinking this is the design I want to come out with. This is just me having fun with some neons and some molds and pretty much doing what I want. The only piece here that was fully planned out and fully intentional were the yellow circles. That really iconic early 90s imagery. I made up a ton of Jesmonite AC100. Would you believe almost exactly what I needed, but I did have a little bit left that I put into a separate mold off camera, and we'll talk about that at a later date. So I poured in 350 grams of liquid, multiplied that by 2.5 to get my powder. Then I'm going to make this black. Now, the only black pigment, I must get hold of some from Homeware Design as well. The only black pigment I have is the Jesmonite black pigment. I didn't have much left though, so I pretty much used everything that I had left, and this left me with just a dark grey. So I went searching through my rubble, and I mean rubble, building site rubble, and I did find that I still have a Jesmonite AC100 branded black pigment bottle. Now, I got rid of most of my original Jesmonite AC100 pigments because they were settling at the bottom. And no matter what I did, I added water, I added oil, I did all of the things. I couldn't bring them back to life. I didn't realise I still had a black. So that came through to save the day. And I made the Jesmonite AC100 as black as I possibly could. Now, some of you would have seen a recent video where I used the Elechem Black Eco. I would have used that. I would 100% have used that if I had enough, but I didn't have enough left, so I couldn't use it. But yeah, I was kind of like, oh, that would have been perfect because that is black, like proper black, without having to work hard adding pigments. But here we are. I'm just filling them up. I overfilled them significantly, not intentionally. It just happened that I just poured a little bit too much right at the end, and we have got some overspill that does need to be sanded off and chipped off at the demold. Was not an issue at all. Now at this point I thought, I often get air pockets around when I do this technique. When I drizzle and splash on and splodge, I often get air pockets around those when we pour the background. So I actually went in with a big fat fluffy brush and I brushed the surface of the inside of all of my molds in the hope that I wouldn't dislodge any of those splashes, but it would diminish the amount of air pockets I got on demold. Now, first up, love this. This looks like a sunset. Like, can anyone see it? The neon orange is the sun, and then the rest is just reflections. This was my favorite. Like, I love. This reminds me of Halloween, actually. This is giving me Halloween vibes. And splatter, blood splatter. But equally, it's reminding me of the mummies. When the mummies have like the bandages around their faces? It's reminding me of that. Again, neither of these were thought out or planned. I literally just wanted to use up all of the Jesmonite I had. But these neons are wow in Jesmonite AC100. And I was worried that putting a black background on them would dull them in some way, but that did not happen. This screams early 90s rah-rah skirt or a rucksack or something. Speaking of the 90s, did anyone else here have those rucksacks with the clock face inside them? Like a giant Swatch watch, but the clock face was in your backpack. Did anyone else have that? Or is that just a memory that I made up? Because I swear I had a backpack for school that had a clock, a whole clock in the front of the bag. Let me know in the comments if you had that as well. This is the one I set out to make. This was the original, the OG. This is the reason I pressed record, and this is my early 90s real famous imagery from that era, and it definitely reminds me of that song. I said this to my patrons. Does anyone here remember that song Good Life? It was a banger, an absolute tune. Good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, in life, good life. I mean, it must have taken them hours to write those lyrics, do you know what I mean? But that tune really holds so many memories for me of late 80s, early 90s, going to a youth club, I think when I was about 15. Yeah, crazy how many memories that brings up. So this is the Let's Resin acrylic marker. This is what we're going to be using to bring this tray to life. If you haven't already worked out what it is I'm doing the neon yellow 90s smiley faces. because, oh my goodness, I was nervous. I already know that these black acrylic markers from Let's Resin work beautifully on Jesmonite AZ100 or Ecos, any Eco. It has a chiseled tip and a fine liner tip. I'm using the fine liner. But what was making me nervous was obviously getting them right, you know, just creating that smiley face. And the 90s imagery that I looked up on Google have these little lines either side of the mouth. And the mouth itself is deeper in the center than it is on the outside edges of the lips. So I literally just did like a semicircle, and I went over and I went over and over until I was able to bring that middle section down a bit to make it look like the 90s mouth that I was finding on Google images, because your girl, I did have to go back and look at all of the images before I did this. And the eyes, I'm always nervous because I worry like I'm going to make one eye too small, so I make it bigger, and then that becomes too big, so I make the other one bigger, and then it's like a never-ending back and forth of trying to get the eyes to look even, and before you know it, we've got a black circle. So yeah, I did take my time. I will speed this up for you because I don't think you really need to sit through and watch me do this in real time. It was a slow process. I wanted to take my time just so that I could get it right. A lot of work went into this. And yes, I did accidentally spill some neon yellow down into the rim of the tray. And I want to pretend and say I didn't know I'd done it, but I did notice it. I had full intentions of just getting a cotton bud and wiping it out. It would have been the easiest thing to do, and that was my intention. Sadly, I completely forgot it was there. It wasn't so visible because it was right on the inside lip of the tray. And on demold, I was like, Claire, for once in your life, I got someone who needs me. Yeah, just do it right, girl. Do it right. Get your cotton bud. For once in your life, just do something that's going to come out without a blip, you know? But look how neat the edges are around the circles. Usually, I would normally get like little air pockets around those circles where the Jesmonite didn't quite make it in. But going in with a big, fat, fluffy brush has been a game-changing technique. If you are doing anything like this where you are putting Jesmonite down in the mold, 100% recommend. Let the Jesmonite fully cure, half an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes even, before you pour your background, and it is a game changer. When you pour your background, go in with a big fat fluffy brush and kind of work it around all of the detail that's already in the mold, and wow, what a difference. I am so obsessed with the screen right now because it's all just bright and cheerful and colourful and wonderful, and I absolutely love it. The orange, just gorgeous orange. It came out so beautiful and crisp. So crisp because I was using the paintbrush. Now with the stripes, I actually moved the tray, and some of the stripes unfortunately came away. They broke the seal. I broke the seal between the silicone and the stripes, but oh my gosh, loved this one. I had so much fun. And again, I cannot emphasize how important it is to sometimes just set out to create without a clear path. There you go, a plan or path, without a clear destination. Throwing it all in, chucking it all in. One of my favorite things to do because it just makes me feel so happy. I hope you feel inspired by this one. Let me know if those smiley faces bring back memories for you, and what early 90s songs literally make you want to go back. I will see you all in the next video. If you are new here and you're still here, thank you so much, and don't forget to give me that thumbs up. The thumbs up is really what tells YouTube that you like my content and you want to see more. Equally, I do have a second channel, which is my home channel, all things home and DIY. My videos come out every single Sunday at 5 o'clock, unless they don't. If for whatever reason I've missed an upload, but I usually am every week, Sunday, 5 o'clock over on my home channel, At Home with Claire. And tomorrow's video is all about the garden centre and finally buying those plants for my shaded garden. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you all back here on Claire's Crafty Corner on Monday, 6 o'clock. I cannot wait. See you then.